Thank you for tuning in to the Lion's Den. We have a great discussion tonight for you guys. We got Greg Phillips, aka the Boogeyman, in the building. He's gonna be explaining himself on demonolatry. He's gonna also be discussing demonolatry versus the Bible. So we got a huge panel tonight. So it's gonna be an interesting discussion. With Alayah as well. Tonight we got Neo Love in the building. He's also in the building. Moses David Pratt. We got Sabio in the building. We got Ruben in the building as well. And we got Thought in the building. And eventually JJ 7000 will join us tonight. So we like to bring to you good discussions. We want to keep it respectful. We want to allow people to talk. And kind of get the message out, and this will be a great discussion as long as everybody respect one another. So if someone is talking, these are the house rules. If you start to interrupt and be disrespectful, you will be muted because of that. Okay, so we want to be able to edify the people. So this is a great discussion. This is actually kind of my domain. I like to talk about certain stuff like this. I'm curious to see what the boogeyman has to say. So let's get into it. And as we wait for Alayah as well to join the discussion, but we're going to allow Greg Phillips, a.k.a. the Boogeyman, to kind of explain to the people what demonolatry is.
Peace and love, everybody. I would start off with what's broad and basic, and then add details as we go along, right? So from a definition standpoint, demonolatry is the worship and or reverence of demons, whereas demonology is the study of demons. Now, demonology, that study was founded, sponsored, and led by Catholics. It was a Catholic way of trying to learn more about the demons and other cultures. So their whole way of looking at it is based off of Abrahamic bias versus getting an understanding based on what the people actually do and how they actually feel about it. Whereas demonolatry is, like I said before, is the respectful reverence of the demonic divine, which has to do with people actually engaging with demons and their experiences, not the experiences, outlooks, and opinions of foreign literature and foreign positions on it that don't stem from people that actually do it. So first off, I would have to say that when demonolators use the term daemon or demon, they are using a meaning of it that is before Christian thought came around and reinterpreted what that term means. If we look into the Latin and the Greek origins of the term, it was a spirit that was quote unquote replete with wisdom. So a disembodied intelligence would be a daemon in the Greek and the Latin. It actually come from the Greek first, and then it was transferred over from the Greek into the Latin. And if we look into the ancient Greeks that actually used the term, we would see that it was thrown around for positive and negative entities. You had like guardian angels would be guardian daemons. Protective angels were protective daemons. Then you had bad ones too that were bad. They had good and bad capabilities similar to ourselves. That's the type of understanding and definition that most demonolators have when they're engaging with the demonic divine. Now, another thing with that definition, which is pretty broad, right? Any sentient, intelligent being that are disembodied, that aren't clothed in flesh, would be considered a daemon. So most demonolators try to give the same respect to the daemons that they personally rock with to all entities. All other gods and goddesses from different paths deserve the same amount of mutual respect, unless those entities and the ones that are following them are engaged in a totalitarian regime, what I call theological supremacy. Those entities and those ones that represent those entities not respecting others' right to express themselves, looking for a world where every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess. Now, that's a different story. We oppose that because we are champions of the freedom of expression, the freedom of worship, as long as it's not getting on top of anybody else. and stopping them from what they doing. You know, I'm kind of long-winded, so I'm trying to cut it in little intervals or something, or could I keep going?
Go ahead, keep going.
So when we talk, you say keep going? Okay.
Okay, so one of the main things. Okay. You about to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say just put a little insight on it. When we talk about entities, or if we can say energy or force or intelligent beings, when we say intelligent beings. Now, when we talk about what you just came out your mouth, you said some are good angels, and then you got good demonic angels, quote unquote. We have to get an understanding of the aspect of the so-called law of nature, so-called, meaning that you have Nazis. You have Nazis, even though they are Nazis, they will lay with a sister in a heartbeat. Number one. Number two, that's no different from what you just said. That's no different than saying a good Nazi and a bad Nazi. But at the end of the day, they both Nazis and they both down with hanging a black guy from a tree. So this programming that you're inspiring on us, it goes deeper, and it goes to another realm of things, which means getting a better and deeper understanding of what you're trying to explain. You see, even though there's good Nazis and bad Nazis, this is something that the Honorable Muhammad Ali said a while back. He said, okay, if my door is open and 10 white people come charging at me, 2 of them are good. 2 of them are good. They love black people and everything. And then you get the other 8 that are wicked and evil. Does that mean because of those first 2 that's good, does it mean leave my door wide open? No, it does not. It means shut the door no matter what on all of them. So when you say a good demonic entity and a bad demonic entity, it does not justify their whole entire and main agenda. And that is to be against what is natural. You just said it yourself that they are disembodiment. That means unorganized. You see what I'm saying? So that is to organize the whole premises of what you just said right there.
Okay. May I respond? While it's hot.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, first off, right, disembodied does not mean unorganized. It has no chaotic connotations involved. To be disembodied is to not be in a body, meaning having no physical shell or physical clothing, quote unquote, to operate in and function in, first. Secondly, I used an analogy with ancient Greeks. I think Aristotle was one of them that would call his guardian angel a guardian daemon, right? So if a daemon is an entity that's intelligent, that's not in a body, and I said that permeates throughout all cultures, all entities that are not in a body that have some degrees of intelligence will be considered daemons to those who look at daemons from a definition that's older than a definition that was formulated by Abrahamic thought. Your analogy that you used about good and bad Nazis is analogous to a definition that's younger than the definition that I'm adhering to. So in order to grasp the concept of daemon being more than what Abrahamic Catholics said it was, you would have to suspend that younger definition and comprehend the older definition when formulating your responses to where I'm coming from.
So where do you get this made up turn of Abrahamic Catholic? Because there was nothing Catholic about Abraham.
Okay, Abrahamic, right? When something is ick, it is what? Like unto. It's something like similar to. That's what make a ick, right? Now, when I say Abrahamic Catholics, The reason why I fit Catholicism under the Abrahamic umbrella, because they also believe that the supreme being and creator of all is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You have Jews who believe that, different sects of Christians that believe that, Mohammedan Islamists that believe that. To me, all of them are Abrahamic due to the main idea, even if the details differ.
Okay, so when we understand the story of Abraham, the whole reason why the Most High Yah dealt with Abraham, because when you read Flavius Josephus and other archaeological books of Abraham, you will see that the reason why he left his family was because of idol worship. When you think of Catholic, think of the name Catholic, Cat-holic. You even see it in vitamin stores where they call it the holistic center. That holistic, that comes from Catholic. You see what I'm saying? And this is the aspect of witchcraft. So therefore, when we speak on Abraham, and we speak on the reason why he left his family due to idol worship, and then we go to Catholic, who definitely, you can go in their churches and everybody knows they are pure idol worshipers, having big statues of Peter, having big statues of Mary, having big statues of angels, and they worship them. You know, they even pray to Mary, Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners. You see what I'm saying? So there again, when you say Abrahamic Catholic, is this something that you just made up out of freestyle? Or is this something that can be bookly or archaeologically processed?
Okay, so due to me using terms having to do with linguistics and grammar to a certain extent, and the semantic value of terms, that has nothing to do with archaeology. We talking grammar right now and linguistics, not archaeology. Secondly, I respectfully disagree with the way that you translate Catholic. You're translating Catholic in reference to breaking down the syllables and then defining those syllables based on a language that wasn't even around, that the people who used the term weren't even using. I would rather gain the meaning of the term based on what that term means in the language that they were speaking. The language that they were speaking was Latin. In Latin, Catholic means universal. So when they made the Catholic Church of Rome, they were making the Universal Church of Rome, which was their whole concept, was to have one church that everybody could draw off of and believe in, which is one reason why they brought additives, ceremonies, festivals, rituals, holy days, and everything else from other faiths in order to make it universal. It reminds me of taking a hardcore hip hop artist and trying to make him more than just have a cult-like following. They end up giving them some R&B singers to make some songs with, to commercialize and broaden the appeal. That's what the Catholic Church was trying to do, commercialize religion under one thing so that religion would not be the source and catalyst of another revolutionary upheaval.
So here when we think of the aspect, when you said Catholic meaning universal, we can clearly put two and two together on that, because it's the Catholic Church that is making this what we know today as the one world order. So this is a universal religion that they're trying to compete and trying to appropriate right now. This is why you see them on the media having all these religions trying to combine in everything. And then when you take it down another realm, you can even see it right in the house of Israel, or should I say, like in your case, Negroes in the hood, because we all Negroes in the hood. You know what I'm saying? Because we all got that saying of, oh, it don't matter what we believe. It don't matter what we believe. We all just come together in spite of our differences, when you know goddamn well that shit don't work. Well, if you and your, you know what I'm saying? Because when you and your couple, when you and whatever mate you with, if y'all not on the same agreements, completely the relationship is not going to work. So the thing is, when I say that it was an error to inspect of, you know what I'm saying, Abrahamic Catholic, you took two different cultures and combined them to try to make a statement for yourself when it really wasn't necessary. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. I'm trying to remember everything that you said that's worthy of a response, but you kind of, and I'm long-winded too, so it take one to know one. You kind of long. I hope I didn't cut you off, but there's several things that I would love to respond to. So
you can respond right now.
Okay, the reason why I brought up Catholics and called them Abrahamic in the first place was because that's the beginning of the term daemon being used negatively like that, to be a term that had to do with malignant spirits in general. It started with Catholics, and they're the ones that came with a later definition that had all of this negative stuff involved in it. It come from them. So even those who don't still believe in their versions of theology, you still believe in their definition and meaning of what a daemon is. Anyway, now I said before, the reason why I said Abrahamic, when I say Abrahamic, I'm saying everyone whose teachings have to do with the supreme creator of all being the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's what I mean when I say Abrahamic. Now, if there are other ways that it could be used, I don't know. But what I can do is give you my meaning of it when I'm conveying it, so that when you hear what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying.
Well, okay, yeah, okay. So you basically just giving your interpretation and not a universal foundation.
No, I'm giving you my usage in reference to the way that I use Abrahamic. Now, I can show you the Merriam-Webster's dictionary definition of Abrahamic, and then I could tell you how what I'm saying fits into it if you would like. Would you like for me to do that?
Right. Well, okay, yeah, you can do that. But let me say this. When we saying demon or daemic, we can go back to the same people with the Catholic Church who took out the book of Enoch, and they never referred to them as demon or daemon. They were referred to as Nephilim or fallen angels. So when we go to a place where the book of Enoch was originated, which is Ethiopia, and when we go to Ethiopia and deal with their culture and language, they was not dealing with the term demon or daemic, but they knew of intelligent entities that was unnatural.
Well, the time frame that I'm talking about is when that term was used by Abrahamic worshipers, not the time prior to. I mean, actually, in the Septuagint, right? Instead of it saying daemon, it says diablos, because that term did not have the negative connotations that Catholics put onto it later on down the line. And I'm saying prior to Bible believers, quote unquote, redefining the term, it did not have that negative connotation. You feel me? Now, in reference to the book of Enoch and Ethiopia, you saying that they took them out. I don't really want to take no shots at that right now, because I think that'll take us further away from the topic at hand. But, you probably only got a couple more times of saying something like that before I start putting the nail to the hammer, and I'll just leave it as that.
And so, well, yeah, we can understand a team of demon or diamond. That commercial that'd be like this called Diamond, Diamond. Because we know the head demon, which was Lucifer, was a man who was caressed with what? Diamonds. And so when we talk about even though, regardless of what type of name or label they will give this intelligent force, before there was ever a Catholic Church, this intelligent force was still existing, and it did work, and people were aware of it because of its attributes. So this saying, you may say demon because maybe around this year they start calling it demons. But before the term demon or Dambulo or whatever other name they give it in your time frame, there were even people after that who was intelligently aware of these deities that were unnatural. You see, regardless of what name you want to give these unnatural forces, they still was, and they was before they even got the name demon.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
First off, I will respectfully say that I think that is an assumption on your part that all entities that come up under that umbrella or fit those qualifications are unnatural. To me, I would even go even further and to say if that they were unnatural, then they shouldn't even be here. How could anything unnatural be in a natural habitat in the first place? Especially since, according to your theology, right, the Most High created all things, good and evil, light and dark, and at the end of the day has a final say on everything. So anything included into his creation that's functioning and operating in some way, shape, or form must be natural because they were made by the creator of everything, according to your theology.
The thing is, it's no different, like I was saying earlier today, it's no different than when you sitting over a battery and it has positive and negative. Okay? You have the positive and the negative, but there is a third party who orchestrates and operates these two aspects of positive and negative so they both can work for a specific agenda. So when we talk about this specific agenda, the good and the bad works together for the Most High Yah's specific agenda. You see what I'm saying? But
so how could they be unnatural if that's the case?
Well, because we all know that, look at what we doing today. We going to the stores eating clone food, unnatural food, everything about us in this society we dealing with is very, 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 very unnatural. Where at one point it wasn't. Like I can sit here and tell you, man, I mean, you know, most of the guys that I know, they get sick, they eat Tylenol. They get sick, they eat ibuprofen. But talk to our great-great-grandmothers. They're going to say something altogether different. They're going to be more natural with what they use for healing. Wasn't nobody on the cotton field taking Zoloft, Paxil. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Wasn't nobody back then.
You're correct about that. You're right about that. But the context wasn't in reference to what we do with the natural ingredients that we have at our disposal and how we choose to combine and use them. You were calling the essence of these entities that we identify in terms as daemons as being unnatural. So anything that we are doing with our existence does not in any way, shape, or form deem other entities inherently unnatural. I think that's a totally different topic. And in reference to Lucifer being the head of daemons, like you said. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and the
I want to hear all these on the head.
Right. The reason why we do the things that we do is because it was always taught. Anything we physically do, it first starts off with a thought. You may see a female. Well, before anything physical happens, you think it first. You see what I'm saying? So we're talking about unseen deities right there. That's an unseen force right there within itself. You see what I'm saying? So just as there is unnatural and naturalness in the physical realm, and in order for that to even manifest and be in existence, it will have to be the same way energetically. So basically what I'm saying is if you got somebody who have a wife, 2 wives, some kids, and they living good, then you got a tranny over here, you know something in his mind just didn't add up. That's why you see the manifestation of it. You see what I'm saying? So it isn't like that this person just came up with it with their own strength, because that cannot be, because, you know, I was saying this earlier today. Nobody on this phone created the sun. Nobody on this phone tell the sun when to rise and go. Nobody tell us, none of us control how the clouds go, when it's going to rain, or anything. None of us have that control. So to bring out this principle as if the whole thing is in the palm of our hands is uncivilized.
Okay. So for one, we didn't even go there yet. You feel me? So I could say that you're presuming right now, but either which way, what I'm trying to do is separate my usage of the term from Bible-based people's usage of the term. You had a definition before anybody believing in the God of Abraham got their hands on that term and started to label other entities as being that. My understanding and concept, and the concept and understanding of most demonolators, most, not all, but most demonolators, has nothing to do with the biblical understanding or the Bible-based depiction of who and what these entities are. So no matter what you can say that's within the scope of an Abrahamic theology, that in no way, shape, or form has anything to do with those of us who are actually in it. Because it don't correlate. We don't see the terms the same. We don't see the entities the same. We don't see the world the same. But I will say this, though, in reference to these entities that you're saying that are a part of creation, this is my thing. If there is a creator that created everything, not only created the people, but created their potential, gave them programming to be able to function the way that they're able to function, gave them free will and a choice in the matter, and also had a place within existence, within creation, to act on things, and their actions create ramifications. It's hard for me to consider any of that unnatural when it was all programmed and embedded in nature.
It's like whoever it is that you learn about about these demonic or so-called demonic entities, right? Okay. If you do the research on these people that you are learning from and who you studying up under, these are the same people that is for a lot of unnatural behaviors.
Okay, let me interject for a hot second. I feel as though when things go out of the speculative range and you start to declare stuff, that it needs to be substantiated. So in order for what you're saying to be anything more than an assumption out of your own bias, I must ask you, who are the people that I've quote unquote studied under to even give a foundational basis to what you're saying?
Well, okay, there's two entities right here. I'm really the one supposed to be asking you that question because you said the people who I've engaged with or I've studied with, and I'm just asking you who. Then number two is when you when like earlier you were constantly saying that, well, I can only give it to you how I do this or how I do this or how I, so you coming at me with opinions. So you just sat here and asked me to explain something when just earlier you was giving me basically your just opinion.
Well, let me say this for clarification, please. I am coming from my own standpoint, right? My standpoint is an amalgamation of a bunch of other standpoints that I put together and saw my own way. Now, what I can also, I never said that I couldn't speak on any other standpoints that fall under the demonologist umbrella or theistic Satanism specifically, because I've studied many different types. So I can say like, okay, these guys over here, Order of Nine Angels, Church of Satan, they're atheistic, whereas the Temple of Satan and Brotherhood of Satan and the Temple of the Ascended Flame is theistic. And then I could break down the differences in the theism from the different ones because different groups see things quite differently. The only similarity is that we all believe that whatever we consider to be divine and creative and operative is also within us at the epicenter of our consciousness. Beside that, things differ. and change. There's no council in Nicaea for this shit. So I just wanted to clarify that, yes, I can speak on other variations or other alternative ways of looking at this. And I can also speak on how I see it as well. I can do both, but I will keep a separation between so that ones don't try to pigeonhole me on things that I don't even draw for.
So the question is this:
But wait. Could you answer mine first, please? Like you said that the people that if I look into the people that I'm studying under, then I realize that they're also engaged in all types of debauchery, all types of nasty, negative activity. So in order for you to be able to substantiate that, you should not only be able to tell me who these people are that you say that I'm studying up under, but also show how they're doing the things that you claim, that you declare they're doing. If not, I would have to ask you to recant that and ask me.
It's called Antoine LaVey, the head leader of the Church of Satanism. But before I didn't even want to say that, I wanted to ask something first. And the question was, these entities that you are advocating for at this minute, at this second, okay, how do they function in our everyday life? Or maybe I should ask it like this. Somebody who is a nasty child molester, somebody who is a nasty child molester, somebody who is a serial killer, in your theology of thinking, what deity is dealing with that individual according to your studies?
Okay, I just don't want to forget that other part. Okay, Anton LaVey created an atheistic organization, the Church of Satan. I am a theistic Satanist. The only thing that I agree with Anton LaVey about is in reference to our ability to choose and our inherent divineness within our own psyche. Beside that, I don't agree with the Church of Satan, and they probably don't agree with me either. So he's not a master teacher of mine or none of that. We just use the same term, Satan. That's about it. Oh yeah, and we both believe in individualism, humanism, and having the right to use our will and our abilities to help influence the world around us. That's about it. Now, in reference to what you asked, from where I'm coming from, right, and from where those that I know, I haven't seen anybody ever, right, not only in the public, but in private, when I've assembled privately amongst other worshipers. Serial killing and pedophilia and all that has always been frowned upon. And even though I won't get into many details, there have been acts bearing witness that I know of when there's been people who have engaged in these types of sexual activities being hunted by Satanists. Like me, myself, even here. If I'm able to catch somebody that's sex trafficking or that's messing, I'm talking about cousins or anything, I don't play that shit. And it's a part of me of my satanic birthright to stand up for what I believe in. And that's a part of me using the divine will and decision making that I was given by whoever created us to be a lord of the earth.
So so the question, it comes to this again. The magnetic force or the energy that is dealing with these people who engage in that.
What about?
That's my point. What force or energy is dealing with people who, what force or energy is dealing with these type of people that'll make them do or do such dirty acts?
Okay, so
because there's definitely a force that's behind that. And my question to you is, who is that force that's causing this type of operation to take place? Okay,
so first off, right, that concept, I guess you could say a fatalism, where whatever we do, it has, we like puppets and shit, and you got these different entities that's pulling different strings. So if I lift my left arm up, is that entity that got me doing it? If I scratch, is this entity doing it? I'm devoid of that in my satanic understanding. I'm devoid of that. Even though there are forces and intelligences in play that influence us and in many ways lay the path for us to move, right? I also believe that the divine spark that created everything is also within me. And some of the proof of that is having a free will and an ability to differentiate between options and use the force and free will to make a decision on my own. Because of that, we don't look at any other outside force as being solely responsible for our own actions.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Because you gave the example about some deity pulling you as a string or something like that. Well, at the end of the day, let's talk about a God like okay, let's say like you just said, we have a choice. Now, I'm all day choose not to do such heinous acts. I'm gonna always choose not to do that.
Okay.
But in order for me to rebuke that energy still got to come to my face in order for me to even rebuke it. So that energy that's coming to me, giving me that default offer, who is that energy is what I'm asking you.
Well, what I'm telling you is, since my understanding is foreign to where you're coming from, I don't think that it's any soul energy responsible for that type of stuff. Now, I do believe in the Hermetic laws of correspondence. Wow. So I do believe that, for instance, right? Let's say I want to kill somebody. I'm mad as hell. I want to beat the shit out of them, right? There is an overabundance of anger, is wrath there. And in some way, shape, or form, any and everything that has its own existence has some type of intelligence within it that makes it exist. So I agree with it on that level, on a banal level. But even with that being said, even if there is a greater anger that's connected to the anger inside of me that has me feeling enraged, it's still on me if I choose to do it or not. It's still on me because in order for a greater anger to provoke the anger in me, I must already have that vibration within my toolkit to even make a connection to it. And no matter how strong it is, it's my choice and decision making that determines that becoming a part of reality. So right. I'm saying all that to say that I do not think that it's some greater forces that are pretty much forcing us to do these things. It's my responsibility. If I'm in a committed relationship and I let lust overtake me and I take somebody else down while being in a committed relationship, it wasn't a lust demon that made me do it. It wasn't no bad lust angel that tricked me into doing it. It was my own behind that chose to put my free will towards moving in that direction.
Right. And nobody's denying that, but here's what I'm really trying to get across to you. Okay. What you're bringing to me is we have a choice, and I am not denying that we do have a choice to go left or go right. But what I'm trying to take another higher step is this. Somebody come and says, here, I have an apple and I have a banana. Now, it's your choice to choose which one you want, either the apple or the banana. But at the end of the day, another person, somebody else came and offered me a choice. And my question to you is, who is that person? Better yet, let me ask the question like this, like I asked earlier. Whatever force, now, we both hope that this person don't choose to do wrong. But my question to you is, who is that God that came and gave him the option? Who is that force and that energy that came and gave him the option of, well, come on. I know you married, but come on down here and get with old girl down here. You know what I'm saying? Okay, now whatever he choose to do, that's on him. But the question is, who is that guy that came to that guy and asked and gave him that option and tried to tempt him to do it? Who is that demonic force that came to whatever and gives and has the intelligence to give another person an option for something, whether good or bad. That's what I'm trying to ask you.
Okay, so, right. One thing that I say a lot of times is that we think that our consciousness is a floating ice cube on the surface of the subconscious waters, when in all actuality, it's an iceberg. We think that we float, but most of who and what we are is beneath the surface. So I'm saying that to say, we might think that it's a bigger chunk of ice that hit us from the bottom that made us shake like that, not realizing what we're perceiving as a bigger chunk of ice is really another part of us. So I would say in two ways. You have the shadow self, right? Have you ever heard of the shadow self?
Okay, I'm familiar with it, but bro, I think you done went all the way off.
I mean,
what I'm asking.
I have a foreign way of looking at things. So my response will not be akin and or aligned with your perspective. Because this is a different way of thinking.
All right, it's not the different ways of thinking is not the issue, but the thing is, it's the principle. What I'm saying is, okay, let's say I walk up in my house and I chose to take the apple, and somebody else look at me and says, who gave you that apple? You see what I'm saying? Because it didn't come from within me, which a lot of people like to try to give credit to. Me, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. Well, guess what? Look at the sun. You didn't do that. Look at the moon. You didn't do that. Look at the stars. You didn't do that. So this me thing, we can throw that in the trash.
No, we can't.
You see what I'm saying?
No, we can't.
No, hold on, B. Hold on. So, like I was saying, if a specific deity, only an uncivilized deity can come to you and promote me, or at least ask, not grab me by my neck and make me do something, but ask, you want to go down here and do this? Do you want to go down here and get with old girl? Now, for this deity to ask me to cheat on my wife or cheat on my wives, we got to find out who is that deity that had the audacity to come up to me and even intimidate that in my mind. At the end of the day, I'm going to say no. But who is that guy that even came and asked me, do I want to do that? Who is that?
Another aspect of yourself that this part of yourself thinks is outside of yourself, which is what I was getting to with the floating ice cube versus the iceberg thing, right? Which is also why I asked you about the shadow self. We're only operating on a small portion of our psyche. And our ego has us thinking that this little small portion of our psyche is everything to us and everything else is outside of us. Because of that, if there's any type of communication that occurs between other aspects of the consciousness besides the waking state, yet to the waking state, it will be formulated and illustrated as being something outside of ourselves. So what I'm saying is, if there's a part of you, right, let's say that quiet voice, the good part, that's a guide in life. If you believe that part of you is not you, then in order for that part to communicate with this part of you, it's going to emerge as an angel or some type of animal, something else that you will be more comfortable with communicating with because of how you see it. So it all, to me, boils right back down to self. Remember what I said at first, that I believe that whatever created everything is also inside of everything that he or she or it created. So the thing is, when those are claiming to be their own gods, that's because they believe that whatever in the world God is also within them, and also a reason why we have a consciousness and an individual identity in the first place. And that energy can be tapped into and utilized on this realm and become a co-creator, maintainer, and or destroyer.
We got to take a quick commercial break. Welcome to the Lions Den. This episode of Lions Den is brought to you by Common Sense. I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you. Brew News, Light Magazine. Also, shout out to all of our Facebook groups and associates. And like I say, if you want to join the Lions Den Debate League, I put the email into on the screen for you as hq.lionsden@gmail.com. And also shout out to Black Jesus Radio. With that being said, we go back to our regularly scheduled program. Shalom.
Peace, peace. So the question of who and what is doing that, I believe as within, so without, as above, so below. I believe that we are a microcosmic replica of the macrocosm of creation. So everything that is within creation is also within us on a smaller scale. Different quantity, same math, same recipe. It's like having the same recipe for a 3-inch round, a 3-inch circumference piece of cake for a 20-foot piece of cake. It might be bigger, but if the recipe is the same, if the combination of ingredients are the same and the way of cooking them are the same, then they are the same, even if they're of a different size. I feel the same way in reference to whatever we want to call divinity. So whatever somebody I saw said, we ain't even talking about religion, we talking about quantum physics, right? In quantum mechanics, one of the first things that Einstein and them found out was that there is no locality on the quantum realm. The way that reality ends up expressing itself and the small slither of reality that we can perceive combined has us thinking that things are separate from each other. When in all actuality, everything that vibrates and has a rhythmic tempo is connected to everything else that vibrates that way as well. And the distance has to do with perception and what level of reality things are vibrating on. So what I'm saying is the so-called, if they are malevolent and benevolent creatures that influence the ebbs and flows and forces of reality, then I'm saying we have all those little creatures also playing those same roles within the inner universe that we are. I hope that brought more clarity to it.
Hey, I think he fell off. Is he back? Oh, he's back on. Hey, can I ask a question real quick? Because a lot of people ask me, what is the difference between
I fell off. I don't know what happened with the phone. I just clicked off somehow.
Okay, let me ask you one quick question, Lon. The difference between demonolatry and demonology. One of them is the study of demons, and one of them is the worship of demons. I think Greg is leaning more towards the worship of demons. Can you kind of go into a little detail of the worship of demons?
Okay. So, definition-wise, that's the best way to break it down. Demonoltry is the worship and reverence of demons, whereas demonology is the study, right? Now, that's in terms. Now, when we take that term and actually apply it to institutions or collectives or agendas or initiatives, then we're talking about the process of and the practice thereof, right? So the process and practice of demonology is to find information and reference to it and study it. Now, who institutionalized that more so than anybody? The Catholic Church, the Church of Rome, and the Church of England. Those were the two that seem to be most fascinated. You find much less demonology in the Eastern Orthodox Greek Church.
Now, where would these demons come from? Where do they? Are these the same kind of fallen that we would have in our Bible, or do they come from some other culture?
Well, interestingly enough, right, even in Hebrew culture, you didn't have Malachim being given names until the latest would be Babylonian captivity, where you had the House of El, you had Michael, Uriel, Gabriel, and all them in Babylon, way before that became something that was attributed to a Hebrew frame of mind. The funny part about it, the first book that you even find in the Bible that actually names angels by name is the book of Daniel. And he was in Babylonian exile, right? So that's kind of interesting. Now, these entities come from, in a nutshell, older cultures, older foreign cultures. Their understanding and interpretation of them may come from their own way of seeing things, which I'm glad you said that. Thank you for doing that, because that segued the difference, right? At least to us, at least in my opinion, my educated opinion, but still an opinion, is that demonology usually focuses on what others say and how the others feel outside of those that actually embrace these entities. Whereas demonolatry tries to create an understanding and a system of worship that's based on the people that were actually rocking with them. Versus critics, the results of studies of critics of daemons.
Can
Okay,
y'all see the screen?
so when
this
we
is some of the altars that they use. Can you kind of go into the altars and how you summon up these demons?
Okay, so for one, there's no one way of creating a demonology idol, right? An altar. There's no real one way of doing it. There are several things, though, that are, I would say, like basic ingredients, even though they're all optional. So one thing is to usually have something that represents the 4 elements. So there can be an elemental combination to the workings that are going on. So you will usually have at least some type of wood via a rod of some sort that has to do with earth. Well, really with the earth's management of fire. I'll just say earth for right now, right? And then you have, like, I want to say, for lack of a better term, a plate that you can put things on, which represents earth as well, right? And having a foundation to something. A lot of people use candles in order to have fire that's burning and transforming earth and turning into a vaporous or gaseous type of means of differentiation.
So what
Then
we
you have
dealing.
incense in many cases. I'm just giving a few recipes. A few ingredients. But you can put, like, everybody don't have to put vanilla extract in their cake. All bread isn't leavened. Some people don't put no yeast in their bread. Others do, but it's all still bread. So I'm just trying to break down, there are different things that have to do with different elemental components from the same concept, that as above, so below, as within, so without. So if we're going to try to do some co-creation, then we need to use the same ingredients that the creator used. If we're trying to bake a cake and he made all the cakes, then we want to use the same ingredients in the same oven so that we could try to generate similar results. So you have things.
I think Alayah had a question, Greg.
Okay.
So basically, you're saying that you believe that this particular supernatural force that you keep referring to is created by the Most High, or is the same force that the Most High actually utilized then. That's what you believe?
Okay, first, just for clarity, I just want to know, what did you mean by this particular force?
Yeah, the supernatural is a force. It's a power that you utilize in order to, how can I put it? That you do in order to be able to do certain things. Because how I feel like you kind of making it seem like demonolatry is the worship of demons. So to many people, is also like Diablo. It still means devil in Spanish. There is no difference that you're trying to make it seem as if it's not a bad entity or supernatural force, is what I call it. Because it's mentioned in the Bible in Genesis 3:5 that yes, he did create good and evil, but what was that evil that he was referring to? That doesn't mean that man was supposed to go out and practice this evil. So that evil that he continues to mention in the Bible is referring to this particular supernatural force with demons and all of that they were doing. Now let's get some clarification when it comes to King James. Yes, he wrote a book on demonology, but people misunderstand why he wrote the book. It doesn't mean that he was practicing what this brother practiced. He was actually against it. So let's first get that clarification on that. So in the 1500s, when he actually wrote the book, before he actually did the version of the King James Version in 1611, he actually wrote this book because at that time, there were a lot of witches that were there, and he was against it, and he was hunting down the witches. So there were punishment, and King James was indeed a so-called Israelite. So he was against witchcraft, is what we call it in the Bible. So this sorcery or this so-called supernatural force, which is the evil that is mentioned, because yes, there's blessings and there's cursings. We do not deny that demons exist, or what you may call or supernatural forces or bad spirits, however you want to verbalize it. Okay. We cannot deny that these things occur, that the fallen plays a big role in this. So the question that I have for you when you're trying to explain, okay, the worship of demons, and that you're not, and how you're trying to say, okay, because the Catholics tried to paint it as a bad thing, the Catholics actually practice as well. So you have to know the history on between the King James during that time when he was trying, he did not agree with the Catholics at the time. And they did try to, the witches did try to kill King James. It's called the gun plot. Anybody that wants to go look it up. So I don't want King James to be painted in this particular light when people keep making reference that he wrote a book on demonology. You got to know what's in the book and what he was talking about, that these supernatural forces do exist. This ram do exist, and he was completely against it. So prior to the Catholic Church involvement at that time. So yes, there are secrets with the candles that you're referring to. Yes. That's why some people may call it the Hoodoo Bible. The Catholics do play a big role. Why? Because Vatican means divining serpent. We cannot deny the biblical connection between what you're referring to right now, that evil.
Okay,
So
you're giving me a lot, Queen, in one drop.
yeah, you know.
Give me a lot now. You're saying a lot of things that's worthy of responses.
Okay,
But,
go ahead.
Go ahead and let him respond to some of that, sis.
Yeah, I knew you was gonna come with the kitchen sink sooner or later, but I didn't know that the master bedroom was gonna get dropped on me right behind it. Like, give me a stove right now, a refrigerator later. You know what I mean? Anyway,
Hey, look at Greg trying to spit that game. Look at him trying to spit that game. Look at him. Look at him go. Look at him go. Look at him
yeah, I'm
go.
a Garvey from the west side of Chicago, man. What can I say? But anyway, so first off, right? The Catholics were engaging in demonology way before the Church of England. So that's one reason why earlier I said the Church of Rome and the Church of England were engaging in demonology. One of the reasons why I try to like separate myself from demonology is due to what you referred to. Ironically, it's because though most of those who were engaging in the study of demons that was sponsored by these churches were doing it with negative intent, doing it with an inherent bias, only studying up on it to be able to know how to control and hopefully exterminate it. So their findings from grimoires of other people, from tortured testimonies of other people, right? Where it was tilted and contaminated by their own bias. So by no way, shape, or form am I trying to associate or be in collusion with or in cahoots with those that engage in demonology from the church, right? Now, something else that you said about Diablo and no matter what term I use, we're still talking about these negative entities. Whether you believe me or not, I ask everybody who's listening to go to etymology.com and put demon in and see what it says. And you will see what the older definitions are and what the younger definitions are, right? And that's a younger definition to attribute daemons to being negative entities. And if you look in history, talking about studying, right? Look in history and see when the term daemon started to be used the way that Bible believers use it now, and you'll find some people that were believing in the Bible that started that stuff.
Yeah, but see, what it seems how your ideology way of thinking is this. You will read a certain book, or you might study a certain cult or culture, and then you take and you basically chew the meat and spit the bones out, which, or better yet, should I say, what you as an individual do, you will read a whole different culture of whatever agenda they got, then you will read it and you will take what you want out of it, and then you come around us and then break your emphasis on it, putting your swag or your seasoning salt on it and stuff like that, to sort of like justify it, instead of really coming to us from the foundation where you getting your studies from, B.
Okay, so first off, right? Are you familiar with the term eclectic?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, okay. I'm gonna look at it anyway. I'm gonna say the real definition of it and then go from there, so it won't seem like I'm making this stuff up as I go along with my incredible vernacular. It says composed of elements drawn from various sources, selecting what appears to be best in various doctrines, methods, and styles. That's what being eclectic is, versus being traditional, which is marching to the beat of a rigid drum that was already set out before oneself. I'm under the impression that most traditional paths became traditional off eclectic people putting things together, getting some results, and other people replicating what they did. Most, if not all, traditions spawn from eclectic ones that went in and studied themselves, that chewed up the meat and spit out the bones themselves, and then documented and chronicalized how they did it and gave it to others. So, and then another thing you said was about justifying, I'm not trying to justify anything. The only way that I would be trying to justify is if I had the same mentality that it was something wrong and negative with it in the first place. I'm not coming to justify, I'm coming to clarify with an idea and understanding and space that is foreign and in some ways adverse to your own. I just wanted to get that clear.
And basically, like, it pretty much goes back to what I was saying, what you do as an individual. Let's for example, right? This is what you do, Greg. This is what you do. Let's just say somebody takes a pure demonic Bible or a pure demonic book. They'll read that whole book and they'll see all type of crazy mess. Take what it is that they want out of it, and then walk to a whole nother crowd, which is us, and to give only your emphasis, or the same thing the preacher man do, tell the people what they want to hear or what sounds fascinating so that collection plate can get filled. And this is what you're doing to a deity that is known, because everybody, when you talk about the Catholic Church, they're very, 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 very known for child pedophilia, okay, and everything else. And, if the media just gonna tell us that, can you imagine what the media is not telling us? So it's like, this is basically what you're doing, and in doing that, at the end of the day, you're justifying people to go by their own, or should I say, do as thou wilt. Because you may sit here and tell us this, oh, I'm about this. But the next guy's going to take that same book you studied out of and be on some real sick shit and justify that, just as you're doing in front of us right now.
Okay, let me say this real quick. Right? the concept that everything that's done that's evil is being satanic or demonic stems from a later definition from Bible believers that redefine those terms. I can't stress this enough, because no matter how many times I stress it, I'm still trying to be pigeonholed into an understanding that I'm not drawing off of. First off, so that whole concept that whatever, any rape, any pedophilia, any killing, anything negative is quote unquote satanic, that comes from a biblical standpoint of believing that everything that is outside of that way of thinking is quote unquote satanic. I don't draw off that. Most people who agree and believe in demonolatry don't either, which segues me into my other point. In order for you to substantiate that, you got a lot of assumptions from the outside looking in, bro. But in order for you to substantiate that, you would need to go and study the things that I've studied in the flesh, right? Because you can't study the information that I got from other intelligences. That's why it's best for us to learn how to tap into and to commune our damn selves, get these things from the horse's mouths instead of believing in old crusty documents. But again, I digress with that old crusty document part. When, in order for what you say to be substantiated, you would have to study what I've studied and then show how I've taken out any damn thing, to be honest. Now, just because it doesn't line up with your Bible, you don't want to believe that demonolatry and theistic Satanism is really all about being all you can be, realizing what's within oneself and using that to be more congruent and more constructive in reality to help build a brotherhood of man under the fatherhood of God. You don't want to believe that because it's different than what you've been taught. It's different than your point of view and perspective, and that's cool. But the only thing that I'm trying to emphasize is that your point of view and perspective is not based on people who actually did it. It's based on other people who actually believe in something similar to what you believe and went into it to denigrate, to denounce, to debunk. And that biased perspective is relevant in what they came out with. I'm not operating under that. And most people who are demonolators ain't operating on it based on what the Bible says. And you can keep that if you want to, that's cool. But in order to have an intellectual discussion, you would have to refrain from superimposing your bias on my perspective.
Okay, Greg. So when you say, what God are you referring to?
Oh, I see Janie Cook. She say Black Power, race first. And what you say? What am I?
Yeah. You said, what God are you referring to?
When I say God, what God am I referring to? I'm referring to the creator of all, the first self, what I call the first self, the first individualized consciousness that rose out of the chaotic waters, the chaotic primordial waters that I consider feminine. One masculine, self-aware entity rose out of those chaotic waters and began to create. And I believe that that process and the players involved are also components and ingredients of our construction and creation as well.
Okay, so you believe in the male and female energy thing.
I don't know what the male and female energy thing consists of to you. So I'm not going to say I agree or believe in it prematurely. You got mouse traps in the field.
No, come on, Greg. You believe in the male and the female energy, correct?
I believe in male and female energy or energies. Yes, I do. I believe but I believe they both come from a source and end up going back to that source. I feel like that source transcends duality. Out of that singularity came duality. A combination of that singularity and duality created a triune structure. And then it goes on from 2 to 3 to 4 and so on and so forth.
So, do you believe that Alayah is a Satanist or a magician?
Do I believe who?
Anton Levy is a Satanist.
Anton LaVey. I believe that he is I believe that he is an atheistic Satanist. So I believe that he has some basic concepts of Satanism, but they're only relegated to the so-called flesh and in the psyche, versus it being expanded and expounded upon beyond those parameters of existence.
Okay, so basically you're acknowledging that Satan exists, correct?
Yeah, but not with that answer that I just gave. That didn't have anything to do with the existence of him. Anton LaVey does not believe Satan exists, to be honest.
Well, you just said that you believed that he was a Satanist. That's what you said.
In relegation to the psychological and physical implications, but devoid of the rest of existence. So, okay, this is the thing, right? A Satanist believes that they are divine themselves and have the right to exercise those divine gifts of sentience and will to build a better world. He believes that as well, but he only relegates that to the psyche, as in psychologically. But he didn't believe, well, it's a controversy about that, but I'm just saying for right now, he didn't believe that there were any other extra, like supernatural forces that can aid and assist or connect with. So he also didn't believe that supernatural force was really within himself. So it's a difference. That's why I don't really fuck with Anton LaVey like that, but I do fuck with him in reference to individualism and humanism. And the psychological,
which I was just saying a few minutes ago. Which I was just saying a few minutes ago, how you nitpick what you want to pick out of something. That I was just saying that a few minutes ago.
Okay, but I'm not running around propagating and promoting his organization either, though. I'm not relegating to him.
Because you choose not to do that, but you're going to choose.
I'm a Garveyite, and there are a few things, minus the swirling, that I agree with W.B. Du Bois. That doesn't make me less of a Garveyite, because there are things that I can agree with from other people.
And Marcus Garvey was a complete Bible believer, man.
Okay, and he sure was, and I still love him just the same.
Right, because of your choice. So if you, as an individual, is going around just like, it's no different than going down a fruit market and you just picking what it is you like to make your own salad, or shall I say your own doctrine, you basically come into us with your own doctrine and you done pick a piece of fruit from each 1,000 bowls and you put it all in one bowl, and then you come and try to present it to us.
No, first off, I ain't come trying to present nothing to nothing. Somebody else found out that what I engage in and started asking me. So that's another thing. And the guilds that I was in, we don't have no missionary journey because we're not looking for everybody to think and believe like us any damn way. How we taught is those that come, we don't go to them. Those who show interest will come to us, cross paths with us. So it was never in my mind to bring a fruit basket to y'all in the first place. First off. Secondly, in reference to the fruit basket, right? I'm also letting it be known, when you asked about the bananas in that basket, I'm going to tell you about where I got them bananas from, within the context that it was given. Now, if I'm telling you about my fruit basket, then that's a different. I'm going to tell you why I put the apples and pears in there with the bananas. But if you ask me where them pears come from, I'm going to show you the aisle it came from. You see what I'm saying? I'm doing both. It all depends on the context. But you will have to be able to differentiate between my responses that's based on information that I got, and my responses that's based on my current perspective. They are not the same.
But that goes back to what we was talking about earlier today when I said another intelligence can influence you, and your response was that can't be so because it's already inside of you.
No, I'm saying
that we're not denying the good and the bad that's within us, but when you think of something, it comes from a force, an outside force, and it's your choice whether to give in or to not give in. But we cannot, at the end of the day, you cannot deny the force that is, influencing you to do something you ain't got no business doing.
Okay, so let me say this, right? And I hope that the way that I say it is more comprehensible than the last time.
Oh man, hold on. Somebody at my door. Hold on.
Oh man. Yeah, I'm
Now,
gonna hold on too,
I
because
got
I
a
want him
question.
to hear. I want him to hear this, because
Hold on,
I feel
sis.
as though he's not
Sis.
fully. Well, we might have enough time, I guess, but
Yeah.
I don't think that he's fully comprehending what I'm saying and where I'm coming from. And
So,
without comprehension, there is no communication.
so Greg. So, how do you explain? Are you familiar with medieval times?
A little bit here and there.
Here and there. Okay. Do you know the history on medieval times and the witches during that time as well? Yes or no?
Yeah, yeah, I know a little something.
Okay. So you made a statement. Now this is, medieval times is way before Constantine, Roman Empire, and all that
No,
even got involved. So how do you explain your statement that you made before and saying that their influence on the words then, but even then, they were killing witches then during medieval times. How do you explain that?
how do I explain them killing witches? And first off, right, if we look at medieval times, it was definitely not after Constantine. They usually characterize medieval times during the time frame of when the international scope of the Roman Empire declined and the Moors and other Muslims were of an influx into Western Europe. That's usually the medieval times. That was I would love for you to find something that has a medieval time frame that's older than Constantine. If you do, then I recant and I learn something new. You asked me, yes, there were witches during medieval times. Yes, there were Abrahamic regimes, from the Christians to the Muslims to the Jews, who were trying to kill people who had a different system, different way of looking at things, and worship the divine in different ways. Yes, that did happen. So I don't know what you want me to explain in reference to it, but I'm willing to listen.
Hey, say that for the hot seat, right? Let's say that for the hot seat. Let me ask you something. You say that you believe in the creator that came out of the primordial waters. Are these the same? Are these the same? Is this the same creator that the Egyptians looked up to? You know what I'm saying? That came out of primordial waters.
I won't say all, because you had Kemet spans for thousands of years, and you had different local and national concepts and understandings. But yes, I'm talking about, when I say that, the best, or maybe the oldest example of that is Neb-Urcher, Lord of the Uppermost Limits. If you look up Neb-Urcher, then you will see, yeah, he became aware of himself while in the waters of Nun, the primordial chaotic waters of Nun. And then rose, being self-aware of himself, led to him rising out of the waters. And then he created an identity for himself as Keper. And then from Keper created Ra and made Keper Ra. But yeah, in the beginning, that was Neb-Urcher, Lord of the Uppermost Limits, aka the Kemetic Most High.
Right. Okay. So I know this ain't really supposed to be a question to answer, but I'm gonna ask you one more, then I'm gonna let you on the line, get back to it. These entities, or these demons that you conjure up, I hope I'm using the right words, how do they help you?
How do they help me? Okay. First off, it all depends on what one has agreements on and what they're going after and looking for. I never went in it really looking for them to save me or to build me up or none of that, because I came in with the understanding that I'm a God in my own right. I just need to develop and evolve and turn this waking state and flesh into a suitable avatar of what I call my amalgamated self. So all I wanted was access to information, right? And protection from things that were greater than what I could do. But any type of forces and obstacles, that it took for me to grow and develop and to learn, I didn't want them to get involved in that, because I didn't come to them trying to get them to protect me and or save me. I came to them as a partner that I would be willing to collaborate on endeavors with them if they would be willing to run me some interference or to watch my back while I build myself up. So in ways that they help with that contextual backdrop being laid was by giving me insight and epiphanies towards things to look into. Like, I didn't even know that Kemet was, that they called Egypt Kemet, that Egypt was a Greek term. I didn't know that in 2008 until I started to communicate. I said way back then, 12 years ago, like, my people ain't gonna know, ain't gonna never look at what this stuff is really about because of the negative connotations and negative propaganda that go with these certain terms. So how in the world can I convey these things in ways that would be more digestible to my people? And one voice told me, go to Kemet. I'm like, what the fuck is Kemet? I had to start Googling and shit. If Google was even around, and I might have been Yahooing and shit. And then I look, oh shit, he talking about Egypt. Oh wait, hold on. That led to me digging even deeper into things. That's how I started to find out about the Nile Valley correlation between the so-called Middle East and the Levant, learning that there were times when Kemet dominated that area, so on and so forth, right? So that's one way. Another way is giving me ideas or opinions about myself that I had buried or wouldn't listen to from other people. Because it goes right back to the belief that the more that I master and realize within myself, the more that I master and realize outside of myself. So for instance, I didn't know that I was argumentative until like 7, 8 years ago. Even though people told me that and everything, I let my defense mechanisms roam free until one of them voices was like, you argue too much. You're not listening.
Hey, Greg, that's what I want to ask you. How do you know you're in contact with them? Are you actually hearing voices, or is this some kind of thing that's in your mind?
We finna get into the spooky zone. Do.
Hey, come on, brother.
The spooky zone.
Because you said voices.
Yeah, so I'm talking about clairaudience in reference to voices. Clairaudience and claircognizance. Clairaudience usually comes in an auditory way. Claircognizance usually comes as an epiphany that hits your crown chakra and go down. So through clairaudience and claircognizance, I'm able just to decipher verbal information.
Okay, for the ones
now
that don't
hold on.
Could you explain claircognizance? That's all I was gonna say. Can you, to people who don't not familiar with that definition?
Claircognizance is when clair in general is something that's like above and beyond the normal way. So clairvoyant is having vision that's beyond normal vision. Clairsentience, or what we call empathy, is to be sentient and have a feel and understanding of something beyond the normal means, or what you call extrasensory perception, beyond the means of our normal 5 senses. Clairaudience is being able to hear things beyond that, and claircognizance is being able to understand and comprehend things beyond the normal measures of doing so. So epiphanies, when something just drop on your head like, oh shit, that's what it is. That's claircognizance, because you're cognizant of something. Your cognizance came without the normal sequence that'll normally come from it. It just dropped on.
So the thing is you just said just a few minutes ago that you were studying, you heard a voice tell you to go or Yahoo to about Egypt. Now, earlier when we were conversating, and I was just telling you that when somebody does have a choice in doing something, but there was another force that influenced. Now you remember me saying that, Jeremiah Judah?
Man, I remember it too,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
Keep
yeah.
going.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I'm gonna be
So
like, you lied, nigga, you lied, and this shit
no,
recorded. Like, come on, man.
I'm just letting you see. I'm just letting you
He
see.
did. You did say it, family. But let's continue.
I mean,
But you know,
I'm already ready
I'm
to
showing
respond.
the contradiction that you just gave to yourself. That's why I was saying earlier that you like a
Okay.
URL rap battle, or you just go smooth
Okay, so let's
talker or
go to this
smooth slide.
contradiction.
So hold on. Let me say this. When I was saying that there are outside forces who will influence you to do things that some it can be healthy, some it can be not healthy. But you were indicating then that it can only come from within, where just as a few minutes ago, you just heard a voice from the outside world. So which one is it?
From the outside world. Okay, so look, one thing that I said, context is everything, man. I can't stress this enough. But
Got
I mean,
him.
I don't know. I can't teach context, right?
They say Jeremiah
So,
Judah. Got him. We got
no,
him on
you
that
didn't.
one.
No, you did not.
Got him.
You didn't get me at all because you don't have a sense of context. So let's go back to the things that you said and let's look at the context within them. When you were asking me about influences, first you were talking about, you use negative examples, right? Like pedophilia and stuff like that. Some voice in your head is telling you to touch that little girl. Who's the one doing it, right? My thing is, regardless of what, I also talked about corresponding energies. That even though I'm saying that there's an anger or a lust within you, it is connected to a higher intent. I also said that everything that is something has some type of intelligence to it. So for me to sit up here and say that we have a little bit within us and it's connected to whatever else that is outside of us, then you have a symbiosis of within oneself and outside of oneself. That's why we say as above, so below, as within, so without. I never said that we couldn't collaborate with other entities or interact with other entities. If that's the case, I wouldn't be interacting with other entities. Think about it.
They're gonna
Just
hear
think
it
about it.
They're gonna hear
Hey,
it on the
Greg.
video,
Hold
Greg.
on.
They're gonna hear it on the
All right,
video,
hold on.
Greg.
Okay.
Hold on. Okay, and now you need to go back to the video and actually look at the context. Now, this brother asked me, what have they done that's helped me? You see what I'm saying? So the context was in reference to what has our interactions done that's had a beneficial impact on my life. That's different than you asking me if the devil ain't make you do it, who made you do it? Nigga, you made you do it. Regardless of who influencing it, it still goes back to free will. It's just like, even when they said go to Kemet, right? I'm the one that still did it. I'm the one that actually went and started to search and study. I think it started with the God Genes Decoded Volume 1, and then Metanetta Volume 1, and I went from there, right? 2008. So it's a difference between asking me if other influences are responsible for my actions and asking if other influences have impacted me positively in my life. It's different contexts.
So, Greg, what's the difference between demonolatry, and like voodoo? Is it like is this African? Are these deities? Would you consider them African? Like, did they come out of Africa?
Okay. So some of them have. Many of them, I would believe that most of the daemons that consist of entities being categorized in there, really the first ones were in Nile Valley. You could say Canaanite, and also the Kemetic deities. Those are some of the first. Now you also have other systems, right, with other entities that fit into that category due to the broadness of the meanings of the terms. So from a demonologist standpoint, even though Orisha aren't considered gods to those who practice, due to them being disembodied intelligent beings, even though they're more like the Orisha are more like intermediaries or equivalent to angels, to us they are daemons. So you have demonolators. That's another thing too, is the ancestral. Like anybody who's a demonolator, there is an emphasis on tapping into one's ancestral roots. So a demonolator, a same as that's Asian, once they learn how to awaken their senses and how to commune and interact with deities, they're probably going to lean towards their adventures going down the road of what their ancestors were doing. Same way with me. So you have a lot of demonolators that started off in demonolatry and witchcraft, and slowly but surely use what they learned from there to have a deeper, more intimate connection with African entities and deities. But to me, Baal is a Canaanite. El is the Canaanite.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Yasharalah is a Canaanite. So they look like me, somewhat like me and you on the complexion side, to me.
Now, Azazel is one of the ones that you said was your personal deities. I remember you told me that before. Am I correct? Azazel?
He's a part of my personal pantheon. Yeah.
Perfect. Now, does he come out of the Bible, or where do he come from? Does he come from Kemet, or is this Azazel that's in the book of Enoch? Or am I spelling it wrong? I mean, explain that.
No, you ain't spelling it wrong. It's Azazel, which is, goat of El, or scapegoat of El, right? That's where Azazel come from. So I would say it's a multi-layered question. I would say that Azazel is an amalgamated Hellenized version. So it definitely came from the Levant somewhere, right? Just off the name, Azazel. You're not gonna find Azazel in Greek somewhere, right? They weren't even using El the way they were using it in the Levant. But the actual stories in the book of Enoch cannot be traced further than 2000 BC. Meaning that, to me, I feel as though the book of Enoch is a Hellenized publication. It comes from a world that was mixed during the Greek conquest, and them trying to reformulate and have in their day a modern understanding of old information. So I feel like Azazel comes from Azazel's name and certain things that I know about how to interact with him stem from a time older than Greek, the Greek book of Enoch. But I can't just pinpoint where he came from like that either.
That's what I'm saying. So, but do you think that the Africans? I mean, do you think that they get in contact with this deity that you're talking about?
Do I think that ones can?
Wait. Hold on, sis. Let him answer my question. I'll be done.
Okay.
Do I think that African can get in contact with Azazel and interact?
No, I'm saying,
yes.
I'm saying, do you think he started over there instead of with the Greek?
I think he started in the Levant. I think he started in the Levant. Now, I think that the way that the story developed in the book of Enoch had Greek, Persian, Babylonian, and Levant influences. But when you ask where it started,
Sumerian influence, maybe?
Or what influence?
Sumerian culture?
Possibly, but the Sumerian culture was already over and done with and dispersed by then. But you could say that because in the era Babylonian, Sumer was a little bit older. Now, unless you're talking about Samaria in reference to the northern kingdom of Israel being called Samaria, is that what you meant? Because some people call the northern kingdom Samaria too, like the Good Samaritan.
Okay, yeah.
Because he was from the northern kingdom.
No, I ain't talking about that. No, I ain't talking about Samaria. I'm talking about Sumer.
Oh, yeah, I do believe that there was Sumerian and Ugaritic influences. But again, all these people we talking about are in that same area and land. I think it started with them, who I think were primarily what we would call black. Now, I believe they were mixed. It was some white folks that mixed in with them. So you had a lot of lighter skin and caramel skin black folks in that area. But yeah, I think it was black folks that did it. And to be honest, even like 8, 9, 10 years ago, when I was rotating with other high priestesses of different covens and shit, white people, they was the first ones that told me that the demons that they worship are really black. And that's one of the big secrets. But I digress, so that's a whole nother.
Now, I did a little research in Isaiah.
Even they know that, but we don't.
Hey, you know where I'm going to go, don't you? You had this conversation.
Yeah, with that Greek shit.
You already know that Azazel is a 6 foot, is about 7 foot, with white hair. He's a white dude with blue eyes.
And guess
what?
Remember
I told you about that?
I mean,
he's the Prince of Hell.
That came from a Greek area, though. This is what I'm saying. We can't find a book of Enoch older than the 2nd century BCE. Guess what? Another book. What was it called? The Something of Noah came out around that time too. It's part of the Dead Sea Scrolls. And then that one of those Something of Noah, man, I can't. It just slipped my head. But they said that Noah came out with blue eyes and shit. You're gonna find more white, blue-eyed depictions during the Hellenized time when it was many white and blue-eyed motherfuckers writing the shit down and funding other people of color to bring their stuff together. I mean, they whitewashed it. What can I say?
Hey, Greg, one more question, man. Cause I've been trying to pick your brain for about 2 years now. Enki and Alayah, would you say that they do you believe that they came down here and created man? Would they be considered? I'm saying, would they be considered the same? I mean, are they? Do you know any creator gods, or what would you call them, demons?
Well, I mean, okay, so first off, that's a real good question. That's why I laughed, right? So in 2008, the first group that I was rolling with, that's how they define Satan and Baal. They consider Satan to be an Enki and Baal Malik to be Enlil, right? So I kept that mentality probably all the way till maybe late 2009, early 2010. And I started to broaden and diversify, right? I don't draw Zachariah stitching like that. But I do like the stories, though. There are some things that I agree with in reference to it, but not really with the mythos. So I would say from a principle type standpoint, right? I do feel as though Enki, from Zachariah Sitchin's interpretations, did represent the revolutionary deity that loved us more than his own Elohim, or what they called the Anunnaki. And that Enlil was the tough guy, tyrant that looked at us as slaves and shit and wanted to flood us out.
Great. They say Enki is compared to how do they say Yahweh or Yahuwah, and Enlil is compared to Satan. Have you ever heard that? Some do,
but that's because they look at Yahweh as the creator deity, right? Mm-hmm. But those who consider Satan to be the creator deity, they would consider Enki to be Satan. So yeah, I understand like those who look at the creator deities, but the thing is with that way of thinking, Enki wanted us to eat the fruit.
Right.
Enki wanted us to become sentient and our eyes to be open and us to be able to think for ourselves like gods do.
Right. Enki is the one who in the Sumerian code, he the one that helped build the ark or the ship to save people, because Enlil was tired of what was going on and he wanted to wipe out all humanity. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. But before I get into anything, I'm gonna let everybody else talk. But Sister Jenny Cook, you said my Orisha is Oshan. She keeps evil energy away from me. She will F you up for me as well. Lots of laugh out loud. Try me. Hey, we're gonna be having another discussion.
Yeah, that's the Yoruba people.
Hey, leave my sister alone, man.
Hold up. We're going to be having another discussion next time in a couple of days, and you're more welcome to come and join us. That's all I want to say about that. But go ahead,
just say, man, leave my sister alone, man.
That's
a good sister, man.
Hey, it's all good.
And she all about her people.
Referring to
I think she's with the new Black Panther Party. It's all good.
Yes, sir. But if she got to send some Orisha at somebody and I catch wind, I'm sending some more things right behind her though. Like me and her been comrades and allies. Let me tell y'all something about Greg. About 6 years ago, me and him was beefing on Facebook, and then the dude gonna send me a picture of his goddamn shrine. Remember that, Greg? Yeah. I went to spiritual warfare. He's like, "Oh, you going to spiritual warfare?" I see. We had a spiritual battle. It was crazy. This something that Sister Carla know about this, right? One of the best ways to curse somebody or to get them fucked up is to put the idea in their head that they're being cursed in the first place. That opens up their mind to placebo the curse on their own ass. Am I lying, Sister Carla?
Hey, do anybody else want to say anything? 'Cause it's almost 2 hours. We're gonna end up in closing this. We don't want to
Yeah,
be
what
too
the
long.
questions at, y'all, before it close out?
No,
Like, hey,
that's for another show, Greg.
oh, okay. I'm gonna say, I like
Yeah.
questions. Like, where y'all at?
Oh, well, I mean, if they want to ask you something, go ahead.
She said that she's the local chairman of the Washington D.C. chapter,
All
New
right,
Black
all
Panther
right. Black
Party
Power,
for
Black Power.
Self-Defense. So she
Yeah.
basically practiced old Yoruba African spirituality when she was referring to that.
Right.
Yes.
It's all good. Lions Den is we open our arms to everybody. You know, we want everybody to have a chance to come out there and get the information out. It's not biased over here.
Oh yeah, wait a minute, my bad. Let me just say one sentence though for everybody who out here listening. Greg Phillips is race over religion. If no matter what you believe in, if you're still inspired to help your people to engage in collective economics and build our own national infrastructure, then keep praying to that motherfucker. You feel me? Whatever in the world it is, if it inspires you to unify and help liberate so-called black people. I got my sword for those who are faith first instead of race first, and who would divide amongst us because of religion. Then it's time to humble y'all.
So why don't you? What's wrong with the God of the Bible? What makes your deities that you subscribe to different from ours? Are you saying that yours is more powerful, or what?
Well, okay, a few things. One thing that's a big difference is my deities say learn from everybody. Respect everybody's paths and cultures and deities, as long as they ain't stepping on your toes or trying to restrict my own personal freedom. On the contrary, your God is saying that every knee shall bow and every tongue should confess. You shall have no other gods before me. And to whack people who engage in their own types of spiritual practices around y'all or under y'all authority. So that's one big difference. Another thing is that the Bible was teaching me to lean not to my own understanding and to not go out and study other faiths because it'll lead me away from the truth. Whereas in spiritual Satanism, I was told to learn from everybody and learn everything.
Salaki. So do you have this in writing? Is there a book that's telling you this? Or this is your personal experience? Or do this deity tell all the people the same thing? Or are they telling them something different? Is it in writing? That's all we want to know.
Okay, yes, this is in writing. What I was saying in reference to spiritual Satanism, you can look up spiritual Satanism now. I'm going to say this first. Now, I don't agree with everything with these people.
I'm going to look it up right now.
You can go to joyofsatan.com/spiritual Satanism, and they give a breakdown on their understanding of what spiritual Satanism is all about. And to them, the highest level or degree to reach in spiritual Satanism is to have all of your brain and DNA activated, to truly be an avatar of our higher self.
Wait a minute now. So in spiritual Satanism, hold up, Greg, because I've been trying to pick your brain for 2 years. You finally open it up. In spiritual Satanism, what deity is telling you this?
A few, actually. The four crown princes. The four crown princes in spiritual Satanism, from a JOS standpoint, is Satan, Baal-zebub, Asherah or Ashtaroth, whether you use the Asherah is the Semitic way, Ashtaroth is the Goetic way, and Azazel. Now, I believe that Azazel was the one that gave that measure, but it was one of the four.
Okay.
Again, I left their ass 10 years ago, so my memory a little fuzzy.
I wonder why. So then so she says that yes, we use the principle of Maya. After when I made the statement that it is Yoruba African spirituality, a lot of people don't know that the Yoruba people actually came from the Kemet area, or Egypt, or whatever you want to call it. So that same practice was actually moved into the Nigeria area. They migrated over. So and they practiced that with that particular tribe. So, so that's what she means by, yes, I use the principle of Mayat there, but I call it Yoruba people's African spirituality as well.
Facts.
Now, when she say Ma'ad, Sister Janie Cook, is this the same Ma'ad that the Comedics that they practice? And what is the goal? Like after you go away, when you pass away, if you have followed Ma'ad and your heart is lighter than a feather, do you believe, Sister Janie Cook, that you move on to another realm to be with to be in the what would they call it, the field of reeds, or the land of where Osiris is? Is that the goal, to get in the afterlife to be with Osiris? I mean, you could type it in if you get a chance. Maybe Greg can elaborate on that. I don't know if he dealt with Osiris or not.
There's that same thing with that 42 laws of the 42 confessions and stuff. When a lot of people bring that out, what they forget to bring out is that this is the activity that takes place after death. You see what I'm saying? And after death, you're supposed to confess. And some people may have 3, 6, 5 confessions, or however many that individual will have. That's to be announced after somebody already done passed.
But the confessions, those confessions of my are confessions to a deity, right? So that deity's existence, personality, everything about that deity is not just confined to the 48 confessions. That's like if one of y'all get locked up and confess to the detective, right? Even though you confess some shit to the detective, that doesn't mean that those confessions encompass the abilities, characteristics, and jobs of that detective. Just for clarification purposes. Hey, somebody asks, how do you know that Yah is calling you? Especially since he's saying lying spirits to people. You know, that's a good question. How do you know that Yah? Because you hear a voice or feel some tingles or something? How you know that's Yah?
I know he talking about that scripture that talk about he causes prophet, he send lying spirits to prophets. Those prophets were prophets of Baal that he sent that to, and specifically. Number one. Number two, when the word teaches that we love him because he first loved us. You always gonna have a witness, okay? A witness. Anything that comes about, you test it. You know, you test what's going on. The problem with a lot of Negroes in America is we don't know how to identify ourselves to, like after the transatlantic slave trade, we don't know how to identify ourselves, because once you go back to the 400 years ago, before the 400 years, 5 Negroes will give themselves 5 different names. You see what I'm saying? So the thing is we talking history. That is the one thing a lot of Negroes do not add or equate to this Bible is history. When we talk about Egypt, we can go to Egypt right now. We can go to Mount Sinai right now. We can go to where Solomon and Gomorrah was taken right now. We can go to the brinks of Turkey right now where the Ark of Noah is right now. We can go where the golden calf was held right now in the wilderness. In fact, they got a monument of the spot where the Dead Sea has split it, and it still remains in the ocean. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, so yeah, it is proof that it was a cataclysmic event that happened in that proximity, right? But there's no proof that a man named Lot was in that motherfucker. That he had an uncle named Abraham in that joint. That they were sitting down eating food and stuff, and a bunch of booty bandits came to the door. Those are the aspects that aren't validated by history, and we can't just lump those things that aren't validated with those pieces that are validated, because there's still a possibility that that's another example of historical fiction.
Right.
The same reason why you say you a Garvinite when Garvey was a pure Bible believer. You see,
Well,
you're
can I expound upon that?
You're coming with your opinion. Okay, you pick and choose, you cherry pick what you want, and then you come with your own doctrine. That
Okay,
is what
so
you do. Because to be
not really.
a Satanist, and then you turn around and say you're a Garveyite, which is a who is a Bible
That's not
believer.
in conflict.
That's
That's not in conflict. Let me explain why that is not in conflict. Okay. First off, Marcus Garvey's personal religious views had nothing to do with the infrastructure of the UNIA ACL. One of the things that was created and signed on in August of 1920, that's why this is a very important month for Garveyites, was the Declaration of the Rights of the Negro People. One of those rights was the right of the freedom of religious worship for all African people. So within the UNIA, we have the right of religious worship, right? Then you also have what's called the African fundamentalism, right? And in African fundamentalism, he said, matter of fact, let me go find it real quick. Okay, here it go. He said, as a Jew is held together by his religion, the white race is by the assumption and unwritten law of superiority, and the Mongolian by the precious tie of blood. So likewise, the Negro must be united into one grand racial hierarchy. Our union must know no clime, boundary, or nationality. Like the great church of Rome, Negroes the world over should practice one faith, that of confidence in themselves, with one God, one aim, one destiny. He said, let no religious scruples, no political machination divide us, but let us hold together under all climes in every country, making among our...
What happened?
You still there?
But I want to say something to Janie Cook. She says, yes, this is a prison planet. I will extend this time because I have returned many times before. Now I understand the meaning of this life dream is an awake to sleep and stay awoke. Janie, I will reach out to you personally. This is Alayah speaking, by the way. That's another conversation or discussion that we could talk about with the ascending.
Okay, Todd, you next. Yeah, we want to bring you on to the panel, sis.
I haven't never heard of that, which I'm familiar with that if you're ancient Kemet. So that'll be a great topic that we could have on the show. So I will reach out to you to answer that. So we're not going to get into that. DJ,
I wanted to get into that.
Oh, you want to? Okay, go ahead.
Sister Carla, hold up, Greg. I think Todd want to interject.
Yeah, I wanted to, because I read and what the sister said is a response to what you had asked her about going to Osiris and the Sea of Reeds and all that. With dealing with Kemet, the Osiris shit is Middle Kingdom. That's new. So the original people of Kemet didn't believe that. They believed Osiris was the god of corn and agriculture. Okay. So he wouldn't even be who she would be going to see or be going to be with, if that's what she was thinking, or if that's what she thought.
So the different dynasties, they had different spiritual systems.
Yeah, that's a new dynasty. That's actually the first intermediate period concept, and we know the intermediate period means that foreign people was running that land, the Southern Kingdom at that point.
I know this is kind of way off topic. So how do y'all know which ones to practice? Which one is one like you know, like a lot of things in the Bible has changed. A lot of people say that, you know, in the beginning they didn't really believe in the heaven and hell, and then it was added with the I can't pronounce it. Zoroastrians.
Zoroastrianism, yeah.
Say it for me again, family.
Zoroastrianism, if I'm saying it right.
Something like that. Yeah. So what I'm saying, a lot of things has changed over time. You see what I'm saying? So with the Kemetics, what they believed in the first dynasty might be different what they believe in the third, fourth, fifth.
Now, see,
so how do you know which one to deal with?
The thing is, see, I ain't Egyptian or Kemetic, but the thing is you will want to deal with what the original people dealt with. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but the original people, okay, now what do you mean by the original people? I mean, like, because They had different dynasties.
The first, the Zero Dynasty to motherfucking fourth, maybe fifth is the original people. After that is the intermediate period. That was foreigners. You know what I'm saying? That's where the Osiris became supreme god. That's when Amun-Ra became the supreme god.
They had Ra. They changed it up a lot.
Yeah, they attached Amun to Re.
Right.
But Re isn't a god. Re is the power of Aten. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you see the Akhenaten picture, and he's standing underneath the Aten, and then you see the sun rays with the hands on the tip of him.
Right.
That's Re.
But you had Re prior to Akhenaten in the 10 demonstration, though.
Nah, but them people worship the sun most as the primary deity prior to the intermediate period.
So they worship the creation and not the creator. They didn't worship the all or the one that came out of what came out of the primordial waters.
Neb-Urcher.
According to what story?
Neb-Urcher.
I'm just saying they believed it was something that came out of these primordial waters.
Yeah, like first is Neb-Urcher, then you got they attribute the same story to.
I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to overtalk you. Go ahead.
You got the god that the bro just said, Neb-Urcher. Then they attribute the same story to Amun. You feel me? Aten got the same story. Like they recycle the stories. It's a lot of this shit deal with, like, you got city states. They all had their own individual top gods. You know what I'm saying? So when you had one power come in to rule all the land, you feel me? At the end of the day, then the king tried to establish a top god. But that's why we had the breakdown and had the first intermediate period, because the king didn't have the power. The priest had the power, and the priest was getting all the money. Know what I mean? And shit like that, and that broke down the economy. That's why
the priest came into power. The priest came in later with the power, because at first it was.
Fourth dynasty, bro. Go look at the fourth dynasty. The priest had the power. That's why Kemet fell.
You sure?
I'm positive, bro. Go look at it.
Maybe I got it. Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah. That's why, we see this time and time again, which is why I'm against theological supremacy, right? And I'm not the only one. Garvey was against theological supremacy as well. That's why he created an organization where we could all be unified based on our race and not based on our religion. In the High Executive Council, he had Rabbi Ford. Arnold Ford was a big part of the beginning of the UNIA. And he was like the grandfather.
He had a lot of Hebrews with him. They had a
whole
lot. In the
then you had Duce Ali. Duce Ali was a preeminent black Muslim that was a mentor to a lot of other black Muslims that came later on. You had one brother, I forgot his name, but he was the first Rasta. Once he left Harlem and got deported right after Garvey did, he went and started the Rastafarian movement. Then you had another brother from Haiti that was considered to be the strongest Vodun of his time. All four of them was on the High Executive Council. So for Alayah to be like, it's contradictory for me to not be in the Abrahamic faith, but to be in a movement that was started by somebody who was in the Abrahamic faith, just know that the movement intentionally tried to disregard religious and political divisions so that us so-called black people can have a grand racial hierarchy.
Okay, well, and there's also comments that saying that the Marcus Garvey movement, its foundation was built off. He was Christianity, the Bible. He in some of his speeches he gave a lot of reference to the Most High God and stuff like that. So let me ask you one more thing, man. I know we can go back and forth. That's a whole other topic. But I'm saying I don't understand how you can kind of get in touch with these other deities or demons or deities, however you want to call them. But you kind of look over at what the Hebrew God is, and like is you saying it's not for our people. So are you saying that these are the original? These deities are more powerful than our God?
Well,
am I putting words in your mouth?
You're not. You ain't putting words in my mouth. I don't think that I answered that when the last time because I got off on some other stuff, but I will.
We can say that for the next show. It don't matter.
I mean, I do think that, I think that any of the entities that I rock with are more powerful than the God of the Bible. But on the flip side, I also think that the God of the Bible has a whole lot of power, and not because of him being what scribes claim him to be, but because I consider him to be a thought form construct. We give him the power.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah.
We've given him more power than anybody, not only through our praise and our belief. See, like I was saying earlier, that if there's a part of our consciousness that we don't think is a part of us, then it's going to emerge as something outside of ourselves because of our belief. If we take our belief in the divine presence being outside of us, then we would be giving our divine presence to what we think is the divine presence, giving it more power. And then when people get killed and blood shed to perpetuate that belief and that narrative and have that ideology be at the helm of the rulership, that also gives more power. And then when other people are praising it and believing, that's giving it more divine power. To me, the God of the Bible is a thought form construct. I implore everybody who's listening.
That would be the same as your deity that you believe in, right? It would be a thought form construct.
Most are. Yes, they are. But the difference is what they're made out of and what they're doing. You feel me? So to me, the God of the Bible is somewhat of a parasite and an imposter God that started off as a demigod, with all due respect to the people who believe in it. Right? I ain't talking about y'all who believe in it. Remember, I was a brew. I went down this path to try to chop shit down and prove that everything against the Hebrew Israelite way of seeing things was wrong. And I wasn't scared to go off in them deep waters. But then I found out it's harder to swim in them motherfuckers too.
So here will be. I believe that our God is more powerful than your God. You know why? Because listen,
of course you do.
This is his information. This is the number one selling, the number one book in the world right here. This would give our God the power. His instructions right here, and the people that's following.
Okay.
Your God don't have an instructional book. It's just kind of all over the place. Show me an instructional book that your God has set in place to help the people who believe in that. I mean, because you got 4 or 5 different ones that you associate with.
They got same commandments.
And you got
they got commandments. They got commandments.
And you got 45 different versions of this one book you talking about, with probably 155 different sects all drawn off that book. But let's not get into that aspect. But
let me respond to you, man.
But let me respond to you.
Go back and look at me and this guy, the heretical boogeyman's first debate. Both of us has grown from last year. It wasn't right. Yeah. So. But you go back and check that out. You said something about that Bible, though. You said that one of the reasons why. Hey, or maybe the only reason why. It was a pretty heated debate. But wait, let me cut you real quick, bro. Because you said something. They say out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, right? And life and death is in the power of the tongue. So I think that you just spoke some death to your own premise and perspective. So look, right? I'm bragging. I'm like this. Exactly. Got his instructional book. Now everybody some people take it out of context and do with it, and like some people who got a hold of it has used it and not represented this book right. But this book is my phone's gonna die. This book. Oh no. This book is our God. What makes our God more powerful than any God out there? Because of that book. Okay, show us your book for your God or your deity that has helped our people. So look, when you go to prison, they give you this book to reform yourself. I'm not seeing the book of Azazel or none of that in prison. Okay, let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. Right? Okay. The reason why that book is published and promulgated so much, right? The most published book, the most copied book of all time, that expands to regions pretty much damn near all over the world, if not so, right? The reason why, it's all off of Africa, Australia, Asia, Europe, probably got some in Antarctica shit, to be honest. Right. But the reason why is because of the people that sponsored it, published it,
and pushed it. So let's talk about the people that made it why that book is the most published ever.
Why?
White people. White people. Right? The Gutenberg Press. Let's talk about, the Gutenberg Press. Let's talk about the Gutenberg Press.
White man created this book.
No, but white men are the ones that published and promulgated and pushed it throughout these societies. The reason why we have Bibles in jail is because this is a country that has been founded on Christian people who believed in the Bible.
The reason why this country was founded off the Masonic order. Come on, man. Let's keep it real. These were Masons that started this country.
Christian people who believed in the Bible.
FOP in the building. There you go.
Christian people that believed in the Bible. It was white Christians that published that Bible and copied it hundreds of thousands of times. It was white Christians that pushed it all in these societies more than black African Christians did. I mean, the Gutenberg Press was in Europe. Look, the Gutenberg Press was in Europe. These former colonies and nations that come from them, where the Bible is being pushed, white folk, wasn't no black Hebrew Israelites with no Gutenberg Press printing out the English version of the Bible.
Hold up here, heretical boogeyman. Hold up. Because the same folks that printed out this book is the same one that's printed out the information that you read.
Not true.
Right?
The information that I read,
Look, the ones, hold on, Greg, the ones that founded this actually practices Satanism. Some of the Masons, the white Masons that formed this.
I'm not so sure about that. Again, your concept of Satanism is everything that's outside of the Bible. My concept of Satanism and those who are actually Satanists don't lump any and everything up that's adverse to the Bible under the same umbrella. We don't see it that way. Just y'all from the outside looking in. That is a later definition, but anyway.
Ruben want to say something. Go ahead, Ruben.
I think Ruben wanted to say something. Go ahead, Ruben.
No, I wasn't saying nothing.
No.
If you're gonna brag on the Bible being.
Hold on, Greg. I think Ruben wanted to chime in. Go ahead, Ruben. Or maybe he's just looking. Yeah, speak up a little bit, fam. We can't hear you.
I want to ask him a question pertaining to what he said about the white people.
Can't hear you.
I wanted to ask him a question pertaining to what he said about the Bible being printed in. Hold on, wait. I'm gonna turn it up.
Yeah, we can't hear you, family.
Yeah, I wanted to ask him a question pertaining to what he said about the Bible being printed by white folks.
Go ahead, ask. We can't hear you.
For some reason, we can't hear you, Ruben.
He don't know. We can't hear you, family.
Hey, I just realized how funny it is to see somebody talking when they don't know you can't hear them. And you can just see all the facial expression, but you ain't hearing nothing.
Go ahead, Ruben. We can't hear you.
Well, Greg, why don't you just, use your skills to
help him?
Hey, Greg.
The only people I use my skills to help is you. You the only one that I use my skills to help, because I still want to hear some questions from you. I want to hit a home run with every pitch that you throw.
And then come back and tell us what he said. Go ahead.
Right.
I had to kill a headphone.
Hey, the Bible says it's a viperous nation that asks for a sign.
Greg, why was the Bible?
It said that.
Hold on, Sister Carla, he back. Hold on, Ruben, we can hear him now. Go ahead, Ruben.
Why did the white man outlaw the Bible during slavery?
Why
did he make it illegal for the black man to read it during slavery?
Because he didn't. For one, it was illegal for the black man to read. Period. Right. And the reason why it was illegal for the black man to read other things is the same reason why it was illegal for the black man to read. Nat Turner is a prime example why. What they didn't want was for black people to get this idea of God being on the side of those that are oppressed. They didn't want him to get that.
Ooh.
So they were against. If we could go into the Negro Act. Wait a minute, we got to go into the Negro Act, right? That was promulgated in 1740. And then we'll really get a demonstration on what they did to our ass. You feel me? So one thing that they did not want is for us to get information. It's one thing if you know about Gabriel Prosser, Denmark Vesey, Toussaint Overture, and most other slave revolt leaders. It's one thing that they all had in common. At a young age, they knew how to read, and they had access to master library.
And they were preachers. They were plantation preachers.
Well, yes, they were. But I wouldn't credit that. I wouldn't credit that to the power of the Bible, because guess what? The Klan was reading that motherfucker too.
But why would they want? You just said they didn't want us to gather that the God of the Bible was on the side of the oppressed.
Exactly.
Why wouldn't they want us to gather that?
Because they didn't want to increase the chances of us choosing to not accept our oppression anymore.
So in other words, a black man with a Bible won't accept oppression.
No. Because it's a lot of black men with Bibles who have accepted oppression to this day. What I said was the reason why they didn't want black folks to read it, so-called black folks to read it, is because it could inspire them to revolt. Due to them looking, they could fool around, do what y'all did, and put yourself in the place of the Israelites and shit, and be like, if he helped them out with Pharaoh, then he'll help us out with the president.
Right. That's why they picked one slave and told him how to read.
A black man,
let him read what's called the slave doctrine.
In those scriptures is a threat to national security. That's what I'm
saying. Yeah, but that ain't the only threat to national security, but that is a threat to national security. That's why Hebrew Israelites is on the black identity extremist list.
My last question, and I'm a yield.
Hey, what bro over there trying to say, man? Shaking his head with the tetragrammaton fitted on.
What's wrong with black identity? What's wrong with that identity? What is wrong with that?
What's wrong? I didn't say nothing was wrong with it. I'm a Garveyite.
Because the Hebrew Israelites got this thing about this black identity thing going on.
Yes, because the brother said that a man that's very well versed in the scriptures is a danger. Look, he said that
identifying being black. What's wrong with that?
Okay, now that's a whole nother. Okay, let me get these in different orders, right? Because the identification of black is something different to me due to my declaration and proclamation as being a Moorish American. That go back to the Negro Act. But I don't think it's nothing wrong with them people being scared of you. I don't think that there's nothing wrong with being a threat to those people's system. What I was doing was agreeing with bro and camelbacking off bro when he said that a man that's well versed in the scriptures is a danger to America, to America's dominant influence. I said, yeah, that's why Hebrew Israelites right now on the black identity extremist list, because they consider that to be threatening. That's why I said that. I'm gonna keep it real either which way.
You know why we threat? Because we bring it, because we the truth.
Greg, and that's why I respect you, Greg. That's why I rock with you.
I try, bro. I be trying. Yeah, but y'all ain't the only ones. Guess who else on that list? Garveyites are on that list, and the Moorish Science Temple of America, especially the sovereign citizen ones, also on that list. So what I see with all of those, what are the correlations? It ain't the Bible. It's black brothers and sisters getting together, determining their own culture, trying to create their own nation, trying to define things on their own time, to control their own natural resources, buy and sell amongst each other, raise and protect our kids and women the way we want to, and ain't afraid to step up against oppression. Now, yes, you got a lot of brothers and sisters that are engrossed in the Bible that feel that way. But you got a lot of brothers and sisters that's not in the Bible that also feel that way. And that's why Garvey created an infrastructure where all of us that feel that way can work with each other, regardless of our theological differences.
All right, everybody. Hey, if anybody got any last or final questions, because we're in the 2 hour 15-minute mark. I appreciate Greg.
What are the questions
there? Enlightening us on demonology, because last year I had a real misunderstanding from his information, and I looked at him as a Satanist type of boogeyman type guy, But Anybody else want to say anything? Alayah, Moshe, Reuben,
Sister Carla.
All right, so he don't believe in the devil with horns and a tail and a pitchfork. That's good. All right, right on.
What was that?
Except for the costume parties.
I said, he don't believe in the devil with horns, a tail, and a pitchfork with it hanging around the skull and going like, yeah. That's good. That's good.
Or does he?
Yeah. Except for the costume parties.
Neo Love in the building. Hey, shout out to Sand Pit Records. Hey, look out for his new single, Righteous Lions in the Building. That's be the song that we be opening up with, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
You know, we got a few good, artists over here in Lions Den. Look out for our Lions Den album coming soon. You know, I might come out of retirement, you know what I'm saying, drop some bars,
no.
You know what I'm saying? But we gonna say, if anybody else got nothing to say, I want to read something before we close it out. Y'all good?
Wait, what is some more questions? I know Sister Carla got some. The Demon Slayer.
You'll keep us on here all day, but we got to close it out.
Where the Demon Slayer at, though? That's who I came from.
Oh, man.
Trust me, the Demon Slayer, we got a show scheduled with you in the hot seat.
Yeah. Tell them about the upcoming show.
Y'all tune in for Greg to be in the hot seat. It's going to be myself, Carla Wade, Neo Love, and Daquan, Yasharalah. We are going in, asking him some questions, so make sure you tune in for that. So this was
Tuesday. Tuesday we got some sovereign nationals coming in. Tazadak and Andy Demore L. They're gonna be teaching us how to get about sovereignty and how you can fill your papers out and stuff. We got Tahaka Decor versus Isabio coming up on the 15th. Which is next Sunday, and they're going to be debating, is the Bible an anti-African book? And we got a couple other things coming up. So the Lions Den, we the world's hottest debate league. Lions Den is just hot anyway. We're not just a debate league. We are a family. You see what I'm saying? But this is what I want to say. We're going to close it out. He said, Greg, do you know who said this? I believe in God. The Father, God the Son, the God of the Holy Spirit. I endorse the Nicene Creed. You know who said this. I believe that Christ died for me.
Marcus Garvey said that.
You damn right.
But he didn't say that those under the red, black, and green had to do the
brother. You see? This brother the Marcus Garvey movement, he was inspired by this book here. This man grew up, and this book has made him to be the leader that he was in his day. So don't ever let nobody say, get rid of it and throw it away. Them are some of my brothers right there.
Hey.
Well, hold up, nigga.
J. Edgar Hoover believed in the Bible too, and W.E.B. Du Bois. They all believed in the same Bible.
We ain't fooling with Edgar Hoover, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hold up.
He went to Sunday school.
Let me read this paragraph. We're going to close it out. It says, I believe in God, the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. I endorse the Nicene Creed. I believe that Christ died for me. I believe that God lives for me and all men. And no contradiction you can impose upon me by deceiving me about Christianity will cause me to doubt Christ. Woo! Hey, I'm about ready to start giving
Albert Pike.
Playing around Marcus Garvey. He said, look what he said. And to doubt God, I should never hold Christ responsible for the commercialization of Christianity. You hear me? By the heartless man who adopted as an aegis mean of fooling and robbing other people out of their land and country. And with that being said, the Lions Den, hey, we signing out. Shalom, barakatah.
Man, you bogus. Bogus as hell, man.
Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah Barakadah.
No, cut the cord.
Everybody, Greg got to hop on his broomstick.
All respect to our black people, though. For real, though.
So thanks for tuning in. That is actually next Sunday. So make sure you tune in at 5 o'clock. We're going to put Greg in the hot seat. If you enjoyed this show, you want to hear more, it's going to be on 3,000 in the hot seat. So you don't want to miss it. It's your girl, Carla.
That's what
shout out Lions Den. Hey, Alayah. Our vision that came through. Cause me and Lyle, after we couldn't speak on Sunday, and me and Lyle said, you know what? We gonna create a back chat where we get to question other people who don't believe in the Bible. They have grown since then. So hey, we appreciate everybody that came in and participated in the Lions Den, that came through and started their own thing, came back. We love y'all. And with that being said, hey, Ma, cut the cord. Shalom, barakatah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hey,